All right, we're live. We're not going to be here long. Auburn and Ole Miss is kicking off. We're going to want to watch that, obviously, and many other night games there. He is Jim Dunaway. I'm Ryan Brown. Lance Taylor going to try to join us in a minute. We just wanted to react real quick with you to the win by the Crimson Tide of Alabama.
Yeah.
4-20 over Tennessee at Bryant-Denny Stadium. A wild one there, Dunaway.
Man, what an odd game because, in the first half, first 9 passes, Milton completes them. First 7 targets to Squirrel, they complete them. But Alabama in the red zone kept them in the game. I mean, it could have easily been 28 for Tennessee instead of 20 in the first half. Kept them in the game, and that offense was putting Kevin Steele's defenses in bad situation. But I sent out the tweet at halftime. Last 3 halves against Alabama, Josh Heupel put up 28, 24, 20. Now that's trending down, but still 20-point halves. And you would have never imagined they would have shut them out in the second half. What a defensive performance. And I'm going to go Jahad Campbell, who was in for Trez Marshall's injury. And then Amos had to come in when Terrion Arnold got hurt. Both those guys played their asses off in the second half. Campbell, not just the scoop in the score, but I think he had 9 or 10 tackles, 5 or 6 solo tackles. Amazing.
His biggest play, the scoop and score will get, obviously that's worth 7. So it's hard to say that's not his biggest play.
Yeah.
But the play, it was on a 3rd down. They hit Warren, kind of out there by himself. And Campbell comes all the way across. And Warren's a big dude now. That's a big old tight end. And Campbell gets him down to the ground short of the sticks.
That's right. Forces him out like the 34, and he had to get to the 37 or something like that.
Yep. That was it. That was a massive, massive play. I agree with you. Campbell was really, really good. Kool-Aid McKinstry. This is one thing. I think this is interesting. We'll get to his lack of punt returns in a minute. I don't know what's going on there. But one thing I find interesting with Kool-Aid McKinstry and Tennessee is, and you wonder how much of this was an adjustment from last year, Tennessee is known more than any team for having their receivers split very, very wide. They use all the field, right? And McKinstry, and they kept showing it on CBS, McKinstry he would force that receiver outside and use the boundary as the other defender.
Yeah. Why take an outside fake at that point? Let him go outside. Let him go outside.
Yeah, I want you to go outside, right? I want you to go outside.
Thank you.
So basically, all day it looked like McKinstry was taking a receiver out of play by basically just forcing him along the boundary there and putting him in double coverage. Yeah. And I thought that was huge. You wonder how much of that is McKinstry seeing this last year and realizing, all right, this is what Tennessee does in formations. I can use that to my advantage. I thought he had a big game.
I am concerned, and everyone's commenting in the chat room already, about why Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's a great return guy, why they've decided not to start fielding the punts here.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because, you watch games, man. You watch games. It's 20, 25, 30 yards. 30 yards. I lost my light there. My bad. 30 yards of, I don't know. I got it back on. We're good. About 30 yards of yardage when you let it hit sometimes. And when you got an offense that sometimes is not smooth, that's just huge.
Yep. I agree with you. I just don't know, really where it killed Alabama the most. You give up field position, but right there at the end, where you're going to get the ball back with a chance to burn a little bit of clock, you get pinned down on the 3. Now, all of a sudden, you got to be super careful in that situation.
Right. One mistake at that point, and they're back in the game. It's an easy score for them and erases your easy score. That's a great point there. And I don't know what's going on with him, but, it's 20-7 at the half. And I didn't have a good feeling. I don't know how Alabama fans felt about the way this game was going. And then in the second half, if you're Tennessee, the one thing you can't do in that opening drive, Alabama won the toss and deferred, you can't give them an easy score. And on that second play, to bite on that design play that frees up Bond deep, and that's Milrose, honey hole right there, a sweet spot. He can throw that pass. And he lays it out there, and boom, just like that, in less than a minute, you've cut it to 2014. And from that point on, it is defense, 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 and they just shut them down.
Yeah, I think you got to give Alabama's defense tremendous credit. The offense finally got going, but as you said, the defense kept you in the game in the red zone. And then into the second half, just completely had Tennessee. I don't know if Heupel got a little more conservative. It felt that way. I don't know if that's what Alabama was dictating defensively. I don't know if it was lack of trust in Milton when the game got tight. I don't know what it was, but I will tell you this, man. Alabama's defense clamped down on Tennessee in the second half. That was very, very impressive.
It really was. And I'll tell you another thing. Deontay Lawson started to, started to spy on Milton. Milton was able to still run a little bit, but Lawson was able to sort of stay in there and prevent him, because a couple of big third down plays, when you had him backed up 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, he got big first downs that led to scores for them in the first half, keeping drives going on. Just a switch flip. In, hats off to Tommy Reese, the play calling in the second half, assuming he was calling plays. I don't want to go Lane Kiffin on you here, but I'm assuming he was still calling plays in the second half. I didn't think he was doing a great job calling plays in the first half. Amazing play calls in the second half. And you just wonder if okay, can this team, take a half like that offensively and defensively and duplicate that and replicate that and learn from that and start doing some of those things down the road, especially in the next one against LSU, which I think we all agree, you're going to have to play this one close. You don't want to get into a 52-49 game with them. You're going to want this to be 20-something, 20-something if you're going to beat LSU. But no need to look ahead yet. Let's sit here and enjoy what was an amazing second half performance from Alabama.
Troy says, wrong one. Troy says, Heupel completely changed his second half play calling, called plays trying not to lose rather than trying to win, completely pissed the game away. Again, Jim, I don't want to just blame him. It'll be interesting to see what he says. It could have been adjustments by Alabama that took some things away from them. Again, as we talked about, I thought Kool-Aid McKinstry took a third of the field away by forcing receivers out of bounds. So, you've kind of hampered your pass game at that point. I don't want to pin it all just on Heupel. It did look different, but again, the credit could go to Kevin Steele and Nick Saban there.
Yeah, I do not believe Josh Heupel has a conservative bone in his body.
Doesn't seem like it. He went for that fourth down, didn't he? And I did not like that call at all.
Did it in the first half, which didn't result in any points because Milroe throws the interception in the end zone instead of getting 3 there. But in the second half, it sets up another short field for points for Alabama. Then he's forced to go for it at the end. So much like Dan Lanning last week, 0 for 3 on fourth downs, a couple of those really questionable what you're doing there in that situation. Again, there you have Joe Milton, that one in the first half, Brown. It's 4th and 1. And you're running a play wide, and the Eagles have showed you with quarterbacks like Milroe or Milton or, Josh Allen, you get up there, man, and just push the guy, shove the guy and see what you can get. I mean, I don't think Heupel was perfect, but I don't think he was conservative at all. He's not a conservative guy. Honest to goodness, I think Amos came in and was playing better on Squirrel and those guys than Terrion was. Terrion did not have a good first half. He didn't have a good first half, and I know he got hurt, and I'm sorry he got hurt and left the game. But when Amos came in, he covered better. He played better, and the way they had to shift things around, I was really impressed with the guys who had to come off the bench because of a couple of injuries in this game.
Dirty Def says, not gonna lie, felt defeated at the half. Could not understand why did we play so bad at home. Second half was completely different. He says he'll take it. I think a lot of Alabama fans were there. They felt defeated at halftime because that just did not look like a offense that could do anything. I mean, you had feared that offense all year long, and that offense had showed up in the first half. And why would we have thought that a switch would flip at halftime? I mean, there was really no reason to think that, right? But it seems as though it did.
Yeah, and to your point, I thought Tennessee was kind that it wasn't 28-7. Or 31-7 at the half, and that it felt like. And I texted you, this is headed to like 41-17 Tennessee win. I didn't see Alabama do what they did in the second half, and so hats off to whatever happened in the locker room and to Kevin Steele. I mean, the defense played good in the first half, not great. They played good, especially in the red zone. I think Tennessee was 4 trips into the red zone with only 1 touchdown, but that's good stuff right there, man. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, 1 Alabama penalty in that game, I believe, right? Just the 1 Alabama penalty, if I'm not mistaken, which is weird because last year wasn't it like 17?
Yeah, it was. I think the 1 penalty came after Tennessee twice had jumped off sides on defense, and then Alabama gave them one back. Right. So crazy. Hats off to the atmosphere. You know, I mean, the amount of Texas fans that were there equal today by the Tennessee fans, maybe a little bit more Texas fans. Texas fans took over the noise in the second half. At Bryant Denny, especially late in the game. Tennessee was doing that in the first half, and there were a lot of Tennessee fans there, and it was, you know, Rocky Top echoing inside Bryant Denny Stadium. You know, and I started to think of this at halftime because you're the one cued me in on this. The end of Phil Fulmer's time, I was going to look at the second half if things kept going bad. By the time we started the fourth quarter, we're not that anybody's going to fire Nick Saban. I just wanted to see how many people were going to hang around for the second half. And of course it didn't happen, but you know, I think there were a lot of people at the end of the first half who were sitting there going to their person beside them. They're like, all right, if Tennessee scores first coming out, we'll go ahead and we're just going over to Archibald's and get some ribs on the way home, or go ahead and make it home in time, try to beat the traffic out of here. But then you get to what happened on the second play, and now everybody's engaged in, and the crowd was fantastic. And look at Nick afterwards in the CBS interview. Jenny Dell hands him a cigar, and he looks at it, gets the right in, and he puts it in his mouth for a second, smiles and laughs, and looks at Josh Jackson, and then runs off to do whatever his next interview is and such. So, and a good point here to point out that Emily Grace McWhorter's there. She's got some cigar smoking coming up, and she got some locker room reaction. So stay on our social media platforms all night. Emily will give you postgame that you'll get on the national television broadcast.
All right, let's bring in Lance. He is back from Tuscaloosa. When you left at halftime, it was one game. When you got home, it was a different game.
Yeah. I left I left early second quarter and went to the hotel where we parked, watched the end of the first half, got in the car, listened third quarter, got to the house about fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, completely different game. It's pretty crazy. I thought the atmosphere, Dunaway, I don't know what you thought. I mean, there was a lot of people down there. I thought it was a little quiet. I heard it went nuts in the second half when Alabama started taking control of that game, but I didn't think the atmosphere was overall great, in my opinion.
No, even the pregame was nothing like it was last year in Knoxville. But remember in Knoxville last year, you probably had, I remember looking out at one point at halftime out of the back of the press box, and they had one of those open lawn areas with a big screen television and probably 10,000 fans watching on a big screen. It was one of those atmospheres last year in Knoxville where you had a lot of Tennessee fans just wanting to be there for the tailgate and just in case Tennessee won the football game. That was not the case today for Alabama fans. This was the 100,077 fans that were inside were pretty much those that were there. Not a huge, crowd watching outside. It wasn't an overflow. It was a lot more people outside for Texas. The next game against LSU will be massive because for Alabama fans, they'll know it's their chance to, possibly lock up virtually the West at that point and maybe continue to be in the playoff hunts. And for LSU, who always travels well, their chance to get back into the conversation. So that next atmosphere, LT, which I assume, Brownie, will be CBS prime time, or is it?
They haven't announced that yet, but they're still holding that date. I don't know when they would use it if they don't use it for that.
I mean, it's a doubleheader day, isn't it? They did. So got to put that one in prime time because who plays that day? Georgia. I mean, the only one that would bump it would be Georgia against somebody good.
Yeah. And Georgia has got I'm not sure they got a good game that day. I think I remember looking. How would you grade?
Could be Georgia Ole Miss. Could be Georgia Ole Miss.
Maybe. How would you grade Jalen Milroe? 14 of 21, 222 touchdowns, one pick. The pick was not his fault, Lance. I didn't think anyway. He put that ball where it could be catchable. I don't know what Burton was doing on that play. How would you grade Milroe?
Well, I mean, Burton didn't put his hands out. I mean, it's like
I know
he's trying to draw.
Technically, he couldn't. The guy was holding his left hand.
I don't think he was.
I thought it was a weak ass attempt on Burton's part.
I don't think his hand. I don't think his arm got pinned.
Oh, it's an arm bar. He's got his arm. It's an arm bar holding that arm down. It's legal, I guess. They let it happen at every level all the time now. But he couldn't get the other one up, and it hit him in the face mask.
No, it hit him in the shoulder.
It hit him in the pad.
Yeah, hit him in the pad.
I thought it was a weak ass attempt from Burton, so I don't put that on Milroe. He had the fumble. I thought he played okay. He's a better quarterback than Milton. Tennessee's got a quarterback problem. I don't know if Alabama does. I think Milroe is good enough to win you football games. Milton is going to put you in bad situations.
Okay, go back to halftime, though. Did you think that? Did you think Milton was better than Milroe, or Milroe was better than
Milroe? He looked better at half, yeah, but I'm just talking about the full sample size of the season. I mean, I said this going to the game. I thought Milroe's a better quarterback than Milton. Milton looked good in the first half.
No, I'm sitting there in the first half thinking, oh, this is Steven Garcia day. He hit 9 of 9. The first incompletion was a drop. Squirrel was they were targeting him every time, and he was catching them all. To start with, I was like, well, here we go. Might as well play Inner Sandman or whatever it is, a Sandstorm or whatever song they play at South Carolina. We're going to get another great quarterback performance. But changed in the second half. What do you think of Kevin Steele, LT, as a DC?
What's that?
What do you think of Kevin Steele as a defensive coordinator? I mean, I thought he did a hell of a job today.
I mean, the adjustments were great. I mean, it was a tale of two halves. So I don't know. I mean, he's a placeholder right now. I think the defense should be better statistically than they are. I think we all agree it should be an elite defense. Didn't play like it in the first half. They played like it pretty much in the second half, though.
Yeah, I remember a couple of weeks ago asking you guys if this felt like a bend but don't break defense for Alabama, because the statistics say that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it played a lot like it today. It bent a little bit, but it never really broke today.
Yeah, 100%, Brownie. Yeah,
it didn't bend a whole lot in the second half. I'll say that. It bent in the first half. The second half, it didn't bend really. It was pretty dominant in the second half. I'll say this too. Jason McClellan, 27 carries, 115 yards. Alabama far from ran at will. 42 carries. They tried to stay with the run. 138 yards. It's only 3.5 yards a carry, or 3.3 a carry. But I thought McClellan got some key yards at key times.
Yeah, and keep in mind some of the first half passing from Milroe until he hit the big one, the Bond, was that little shuttle pass that he gets credit for as a pass there that Kendrick Law took, on a nice long gain. That's a pass technically, and they did that a couple of times.
Yeah, I think you found something in McClellan there, running the football. So Alabama beats Tennessee 34-20. The boys are back in town safely. We got Auburn going right now.
Boy, that was a big fourth down first possession. I'm sure you guys saw that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the play call, man. I know why he's going for it. Wants to be aggressive, but just a Robbie Ashford keeper. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen.
I could tell you could tell Lane Kiffin's nervous about this game.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you tell?
He's off to a good start. Got a touchdown there.
How can you tell, Lance?
Oh, I mean, him walking out on the field, first possession, getting that pumped up about it on a fourth down. I think he's a little nervous now. Them going up 7-0, we'll see what happens. Sarkisian was lucky to get away. Some coaches getting a lot of money that aren't elite coaches. But
oh boy, wait! You guys were in Tuscaloosa and didn't see it. Wait till you see the 2-point play that Gus ran when they came back and had a chance to tie.
I saw it. I had it on my iPad in front of me.
I did not see it.
Yeah. Oh, just an awful 2-point play. Terrible 2-point play.
As it was starting, Brand, I was like, oh, I like the way this is designed. That supposed to pass it. That's right. Is that why he threw it backwards? That kid was supposed to throw it at that point?
Well, yeah. I mean, he tosses it, and he's coming around, and he's going to throw it to the guy in the corner, and he just never gets the pass off because the defense was all over him. I just thought it was a terrible, terrible one. So Ashford did start for Auburn. Auburn is down 7-0 late first quarter. We will have some sort of reaction after Auburn. We don't know what time. Could be late tonight. Could be after the late games. Who knows? But we'll come back and have a little more reaction. We just wanted to jump in here and get some Alabama reaction after a wild 34-20 win over Tennessee. All right. So mybookie.ag code next round for the late games. Mybookie.ag code next round. If you want to sign up for that, sign on to deposit right now of 110%. That is free money. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag. And don't forget nextround.store right now. A lot of that 20% off, and anything $50 or more, we pay your shipping this weekend. Nextround.store. That is nextround.store. All right, boys, y'all enjoy the games. We'll talk to everyone later on. See y'all.